Hi, I'm Greg Hamsher, Vice President of Aadvantage Insurance Group, a family-owned and operated independent insurance agency here in central Pennsylvania. Damn it, Jim, I'm an insurance agent, not a lawyer. That's going to be the topic of our conversation today, specific to commercial auto insurance. When you start a business, you have a lot of decisions to make, and one of the first things that you probably should be doing is talking to your attorney and an accountant to kind of guide you in how you're setting up that business. You'll see in a little bit why I bring that up when it comes to commercial auto insurance. And we're going to talk about some of the highlights of commercial auto policies and some scenarios that you may find yourself in, and how, as an insurance agent, I can kind of walk you through that process. Can you stay on a personal auto policy, or do you have to go to a commercial policy independent from that? So let's get into this. All right, I mentioned a lot of decisions, and the fact that you probably talk to your attorney and accountant before making any major decisions. We have a lot of clients that come to us and say, hey, what should I be doing here? How should I be titling this vehicle? And as an insurance agent, I can't give that advice. Your situation is going to be specific to you, and your accountant and your attorney are going to be able to dig into those specifics to give you some better guidance as to whether you need to stay a sole prop. Do you need to set up an LLC? How should you title those vehicles so that you're getting the best tax benefit for you? I don't know tax laws. They change every year, and there's 20,000 pages of IRS laws. I don't know any of them. But what I can do is take the guidance from your accountant and your lawyer and make sure that you are in the correct policy for you. Why do I say that? If you're out delivering goods in a vehicle and you have it set on your personal policy and kind of classify it as personal use, you may find yourself in a situation where you don't have coverage. So let's talk about a few different scenarios. If you have a personal auto policy and you're doing some sales calls for your work, you should be, under that policy, classified as business use. You go out on a call for your employer, and through the course of that, you get into an accident. An insurer could find that out and deny your claim because you are technically using that vehicle for business use. If you do any delivery through Uber or Lyft, you can keep a personal auto policy dependent on your carrier, but you should also be classified as business use. If you have a small business and it's a sole proprietorship and that vehicle is titled in your individual name, as long as there are no markings on the outside of that vehicle specifying that it is for business use, Greg's Plumbing, for instance. If I had a sign on that vehicle that said Greg's Plumbing, you can find yourself in a little bit of trouble. If I didn't have that sign and I'm just going from job to job, depending on your carrier, again, you should have that vehicle labeled for business use. Once you put that sign on, though, you really should have a separate commercial policy to make sure that there's no questions should a claim arise. Now, I mentioned an LLC. If your accountant or your lawyer advise that you create an LLC to protect some assets, as soon as you do that, you're going to find yourself in a commercial auto policy. Now, we get a lot of questions. Hey, I'm trying to avoid higher rates. I want to make sure that I'm spending my money wisely. This is a new entity for me. And folks in general perceive that a commercial auto policy is going to be more expensive. That isn't always necessarily the case. In general, you find that a lot of insurance agents are going to recommend higher liability limits. As soon as somebody finds out that you are in a business, hey, I have my placard on my vehicle, I get into an accident, it says Greg's Plumbing, they think, as a business owner, I've got $1 million sitting around. So as an agent, we typically recommend higher limits on commercial auto policies. That in general is going to lead to some higher rates. But you'll find that on average, commercial rates are pretty comparable to personal rates. So just a few different scenarios. Again, you're going to want to have those conversations with your attorney and your accountant to make sure that you are protected the best that you can be, and of course, making the best financial decisions for yourself. Once you have those decisions in place, go talk to your insurance agent, and they'll be able to guide you to make sure that you're fit into the correct policy for you. All right, that's it. If you have any questions or comments, be glad to take a look at those below. And until next time, take care.